Yo, what's up everybody? Alright, so in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add background videos to your Squarespace site. I'm going to show you two different methods. The first method is the way that Squarespace wants you to do it, and there are some serious disadvantages to the way they want you to do it. The second method is a lot more involved and more customized, but it allows a lot more flexibility and it gets around the problems that are inherent in the way that Squarespace wants you to do it. So first off, let's check out the first method. All right, so let's go ahead and edit our site. You can hit the edit button or double click to get into the edit mode. Let's go to the first section. We want this splash video to be the first section on the site. We'll hit the edit button, go to background, and here we're gonna click video. Now, by default, Squarespace only provides two ways of adding video, and that is through Vimeo or through YouTube. Vimeo, in order to embed a video in another site, I believe, still requires you to have a paid subscription. YouTube does not, and it's free. So that's the method we're going to use for now, and I'll show you the major disadvantage of this method. Now, I went ahead and pasted this unlisted video I've gotten here. It's basically a test that I put together to try and demonstrate a retro CRT effect. If you're interested in checking that out and want to know how that was done, feel free to leave a comment in the comments and let me know if you want to see that, and I'll be happy to show how I made that possible. Now, with this video inserted here, we have a couple different options down below here. We got full bleed, inset. We'll leave those just to full bleed for now because that's what the effect we want. You can also choose a filter, change this playback speed, and also add a mobile fallback image. We'll leave all of that just as is for now, but we will go back to format here and we'll change the section height to large, and we'll click out of it and we'll go ahead in here and hit save. Now that'll get us out of the edit mode, and then we will see the major problem, which is that every time the video replays or the site is loaded, for a brief couple seconds, we see not only the video's title, but also the icon of the user on YouTube that has it, as well as the watch later and a couple other buttons over here on the right. And that pops up with the share button. Yeah, it just looks like trash. Also, we see the YouTube video or icon down below. You know, it's just like, you don't want to see that on a full background video. You know, you want to just see the video. You don't want to see this other stuff that appears briefly. It just looks almost like a bug, in my opinion. And I think it just looks completely garbage. Now, that's the only option for doing this for free. If you were to sign up for a Vimeo paid account, then you could upload a video there, and I believe that it probably likely would not show kind of player controls. I think you have control over that. So that's one option. Go ahead and sign up for Vimeo, pay their pro plan to get embedding, and be able to have the option to turn that off. Also, you just saw there for a second, like watch later or watch more videos or whatever popped up there for a second. It just looks like it, you know, you shouldn't be seeing that on the background video. You should just see the background video, you know? So that's the first method. I think it's pretty weak sauce, honestly, Squarespace. I'm like, you should be ashamed of yourself for being like, wow, you can do background videos, but you can only use YouTube or Vimeo. I mean, it's like, come on. Pretty shit. So I'm gonna show you the second option, the second method, which involves a little bit of coding. It also involves needing to have the business version of Squarespace in order to have code injection, because we need to use a little bit of JavaScript to achieve this effect. That is, I think, $10 more a month than the basic version of Squarespace. So that is a caveat. You know, it does still cost more money, but along with that, you get a lot more features in Squarespace, you know, that are great. So I think it's worth it. At least for me personally, I think it's like the only option, honestly, if you want to do, God damn it. For me personally, I think it's the only option that I would want to go with, because I certainly don't want to see all these YouTube controls popping up here and there when the video reloads and all this other garbage. You know, I just want to see the video. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and achieve that. We need to do a couple things. One, let's go ahead and just remove this background video. We'll just set it back to the default image. So we hit edit, background. We'll just take this video off and hit image and then get out of it by clicking and hit save. So we just have a background image. Now we need to add a little bit of CSS, which you can do on the personal plan of Squarespace. What we do here is we go to design, custom CSS, and paste it in. And this is the CSS I've written here, which is, we've got two classes. The first class provides an overlay. That's another thing, is that the way that Squarespace provides the background video, it doesn't automatically add an overlay to it. So it makes it difficult to achieve something that you don't have any control over how dark the video appears. Basically, you have to just make your video darker. And so with this method, we actually have the ability to have an overlay element that's added to it so that it adds some darkness to it, which creates that pop. That's why this image here works so well, is because the image itself is darker, and also they have an overlay over the top of it. So that's what this class is here for. It's positioned absolutely. The top, left, right, and bottom are 0. So basically it spans this whole section, and it's fully encompassing. The background is black and it has a slight alpha. It's like 30% transparency. Its z-index is 2, which means it will be above the background video itself. And the mixed blend mode is set to overlay. So basically it just overlays this element, and it just makes the video look doper. And the second option, or the second class down here, I should say, is our background class. And that basically is also absolutely positioned, displays block, and the top left are 0 and the width and height are 100 respectively. And what that does is basically it makes that whole element full width, full height, and its object fit is set to cover, which means that basically the video will be completely in frame. It will completely cover this section at all times. And that's what we want. We want basically, regardless of whether or not you're on mobile or desktop or any sort of window in between, we want the video to be 100% covering this section. And then the z-index is 1, which means it will be behind the overlay. So once we've got that CSS in there, and I'll leave that in the comments below, as well as I'll have a little code pen available that you can copy and paste that out of. You can also, type it in. I suggest that method because it helps you learn it a little bit more. Of course, if you have no knowledge of CSS or JavaScript, don't worry about it. Just paste it in. Okay, so now we're gonna go to settings, and we're gonna go to advanced, and we're gonna go to code injection, and this is a premium feature. So this is like available to e-commerce and business plans. Now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add a little bit of JavaScript, and so we're gonna go ahead and paste that in here. And what this does is a couple things. One, we added a script tag, so that means we want to use some JavaScript. And the footer code here, anything you put in here, is getting injected on every page at the bottom of the site. So basically, since this is on the footer, all of this JavaScript will get added after all the other HTML stuff. So it's a way of letting us have this JavaScript be basically evaluated after all the HTML elements have been put in. The first thing that we've got here is we've got a background element that we're creating a div element, and it's just empty. And then what we're going to do here is we select this background element, and we use the inner HTML and set it with a JavaScript template tag. And what that does is basically it allows us to put some HTML inside of this new element that we've created. And that is, we've got a div here, and then inside of that div, we've got another div with the class, our class background overlay. So that's this. And then below that, we've got a video element with our class splash video background. And basically, so then these having those specific classes that we added in the CSS makes it so that the div element is going to be on top with our z-index of 2. Our video element is going to be below it with our z-index of 1. And our video element, we need to change the source, and I'll show you that in a second. We want to change that to a video that we've uploaded to Squarespace. Now, to this point, you can add a source to any video that you have somewhere else. But I'm going to show you how to do it on Squarespace, because then that way this method works completely within Squarespace itself. And it's just easier, you know, in my opinion. That way you don't have to have like a separate source for your video, you know, host it somewhere else or whatever. Now we've got a couple different attributes on our video element here. One is autoplay, which makes it so that the video starts playing by default, right when the page loads. Loop, which means that the video will loop, and what we want that to happen. We want it basically to just keep on playing again and again. And we have also the attribute muted, and what muted does is that it makes it so that there's no audio on the video, which is necessary for videos to autoplay on mobile. If you don't have the muted attribute on there, it won't play by default on mobile because there will be sound, and mobile devices basically, in order to have made it so that in order to autoplay a video without like you selecting it and saying, hey, I want to listen to it, I want to play it, it's got to be muted. And so we've got our ending video tag right here. So basically, just as a roundup, we've got a div that kind of encapsulates both elements. We've got another div inside it, which is our overlay div. And then we've got our video element that's underneath it. And our overlay has got that little bit of background color of black, 30% transparency, and it's got a mix blend mode with the video. Now moving down here, we're gonna then create, we're gonna create another variable, and we're gonna retrieve the body element that has the class homepage, aka this page, because this page is the only one, this homepage is the only one that has the class homepage, and we're gonna get the first section, aka like the section that's the first child. So it's basically targeting this section specifically. And then basically we're going to prepend, aka put an element at the beginning inside it, our background element. So basically we filled our background element with this HTML, and we're now inserting that HTML element. We're gonna go ahead and hit save, and nothing should happen besides our overlay element. You'll notice that like automatically stuff got darker. It also got better looking. It just looks better now. And that's of course my opinion, but you know, opinions matter. So let's go ahead and hit edit. I just double clicked here to edit this. We'll notice that when we click on this starts with you, learn more, like nothing happens. Our ability to edit it has disappeared. And that's because I forgot to put one more piece of CSS in our custom CSS. So if we go to design up here, custom CSS, we have to add one more line of CSS which targets this inner content here and puts a z-index of 3 on it. And that way our content here will be on top of the on top of everything. So basically we'll be able to interact with it still and look nice. After we added that CSS, hover over it, it looks great. So let's hit save. And again, all this custom code will be in a code pen as well as in the description. So basically what we're doing here is we're targeting the content wrapper element, a div that has a content wrapper, and it's inside the section, which is inside the main article, inside the homepage element that's in our body. So we'll go back here, and let's go back to our settings. Now, once we're in here on our, where did it go? Advanced, there we go, and code injection. But before we do that, we're gonna double click and we're gonna click on this button and we're gonna upload a file to Squarespace. Of course, Squarespace, another one of their weak points is it doesn't have any sort of like file management per se. The only way you add or manage files is within these like interfaces of like elements, like links essentially, or buttons. So if we click on edit on the button, click the little cog here, we get to like the link editor window. And if we go to file, then we can upload a file here. So click that, upload our video file. Also, I'll have a separate video tutorial for how to encode a video properly for web play and to make it a small size. So that's another thing. You want to make sure that it's as small as possible and that it'll play properly. Let's hit save. And with that, our file has been uploaded to Squarespace. So we'll just leave it at that. We'll hit done to get out of edit mode. We'll go to code injection, scroll down to our custom stuff. And here where it has the src attribute, we're gonna type in /s, which stands for static. So basically what this is doing is it's taking this, your URL, like your domain name.com or whatever, and then it's slash, and this is basically, that's where the file is located. So it's /s, and then it's slash whatever the file of your video, file name of your video. So in this case, it is crt test.mp4. And if we hit save, we should see our video, and there we go. So now in this, in this method, basically I recommend two things. One is we go to edit this section. Instead of a background image, we just set a color, which if we delete this, there we go. That way it doesn't have an image. Or alternatively, you could add an image that is like the first frame of your video, so it shows up immediately. I think that's also another really good strategy. So if we exit out of that and hit save, basically we get a color and then our video loads. So you could take the first frame of your video, take it as an image, upload it there, and then that way your video would just show as an image from the beginning. I think that's probably a pretty solid method, which I haven't used in the past, but I just thought of it now and I think it's probably the best. But yeah, that's how we have now an overlay video. And if you ever want to change that video, all you got to do is, edit, go to any button, hit the edit button on there, it's settings cog, go to file, upload a new file. So if we were to, like, for instance, want to switch this out with a new version, we could delete it, upload a file, upload the new version, hit open, and basically whatever the name of the file is here, and you can rename it. So you could rename this CRT, effect 2. Let's say that's our new version. Now just remember CRT-effect-2.mp4, whatever you're naming your file, hit save, exit out of that, hit done, and we go back to our advanced and then our code injection. And here we have to update the name of the video. So in this situation, it's CRT effect 2. Hit save. And now it should play our new video, and it does. So pretty slick. I think this is definitely the preferred method. Keep in mind that your video is like hosted on Squarespace. So, it's not built for video hosting. And I think that's probably why they don't offer it, is because they don't want people uploading like videos, but they still have the ability to obviously like upload files. So you could still upload that video regularly and have someone like be able to download it. So I don't quite understand what their reasoning is for not having like a video element that just allows you to place it in there. I think probably it makes it so that, it's discouraging this kind of usage, but in my opinion, it's like some splash videos. It's like, Come on, guys. So that is how you do it. That is how you add a splash video that's custom and does not use YouTube or Vimeo, which means that you don't have to pay for Vimeo and you don't have YouTube's garbage on it showing up every time it loads. And furthermore, it's like you got to make it whatever you want. So if you want to, for instance, change some stuff like, let's go back here to, this is like kind of bonus round here, go to design, custom CSS. Let's say we want to change the background overlay. Let's say we want to make it a lot darker. So, you can change it there in that opacity, or for instance, let's keep it at 0.3. We could change the color to something else and make it all sorts of crazy, maybe like make a yellowy look or a greenish look, whatever. And then of course you can change the mix blend mode here to like none. I think the mix blend mode set to overlay looks the best, but you could also set it to, I think, like multiply and a bunch of other types. So you can change this mix blend more or just take it out entirely. I think that it's definitely like very chill, very cool, and having these like kind of this customization, and not have YouTube's garbage on there, really is a solid solution. So hope you enjoyed that video tutorial, guys. Again, this is Mike Drake at Lichen. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe and comment. Also hit that notification bell to make sure you get notifications when I upload new videos. And again, also, if you do want to see how I created this CRT effect, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know. Also, in a separate video, I'm going to create a how to optimize video for the web, and that way when you upload your video file, you'll make sure it actually can play in the browser. So again, this is Mike Drake. Hope y'all are well, and I will talk to you soon. All right, adios.